Hi everyone, this is my presentation for the Food Museum discussion. The first food that I found interesting was the sheep eyeball juice. You can find this in Mongolia, more so the outer parts of Mongolia, and it is believed to be a hangover cure. This is what it looks like. The recipe is tomato juice and pickled sheep's eye. You can add one or two. I think it's really up to personal preference. Some of the benefits that I read about was that it is high in antioxidants and contains vitamin C and A. As of now, there's really no research behind the benefits as far as it being a hangover cure. I mean, all over the world there are a bunch of different hangover cures, and in Mongolia this is believed to be theirs. The next one that I will be sharing is the mouse wine. The mouse wine was originally began in China, and throughout over time, it became more popular in Korea as well as other Asian countries. The recipe calls for healthy, alive, uh, 1 to 3 day old mice and rice wine. The mice are not allowed to be older than 3 days because they can contaminate the wine and make you sick. Then they are fermented for 14 to for 12 to 14 months. And after this fermentation process, it is safe to consume. It is believed to have medicinal values, and it originated in traditional Chinese medicine and believed to be a cure-all tonic. So it could be used to treat, sicknesses with the liver, ranging all the way to asthma. So it was really kind of just a go-to cure-all. And the last one that I will be sharing is kasu marsu, which you would find in Sardinia. The recipe is a 3-month process, and it begins with cheese from sheep's milk. Uh, then flies known as cheese skipper flies lay their eggs. Maggots hatch and eat their way through the cheese. And through their eating and the enzymes that they leave behind, as well as their secretements, they create a soft, creamy cheese in the inside. And after the 3 months, a cheesemonger opens up the top and they find the maggots. Before I move on to my next slide, I just wanted to say that they can be prepared or eaten as is, how you see in this photo. However, some locals like to blend the inside so that they can mix the maggots as well with the cheese. Casu marzu is a very big part of the Sardinia culture. There has been a recipe found back in dating back to 1962. It is deemed illegal by the Indian government of because it's considered contaminated by pesticides. However, it is protected by locals, and they are hoping that soon or eventually this law will be changed because it has been a part of their culture for a very long time. It is banned from being bought commercially, so if you were to go travel to Sardinia, you will not find any at restaurants nor in the grocery stores. But if you are brave enough and adventurous enough, you would be able to possibly find a local that can guide you to a a cheesemonger who does produce this. And if you see in the map, these are different regions within the island of Sardinia, and each sub-region has their own version of this food, Casa Marsu, and the main differences within all of them are that they use different types of milk. I feel like after watching the videos, I did have a based off the first impression, I did have this like idea that all the food was kind of like, disgusting. But as I watched the video and as I learned about these three dishes or recipes, as well as from the readings that we've had within these first 2 weeks of class, delicacies are far more than just for enjoyment. As I just mentioned, for they can be used for medicinal values or just be a part of a culture's traditions. I don't think that it's fair to call these foods disgusting because although many of these recipes may not be something that I personally would enjoy or be very unknown in our culture, does not deem them disgusting. They are appreciated in other cultures, parts of other cultures. And just like in the video, you saw that root beer was a part of the disgusting food in America. I personally don't like root beer, however, I don't think it's disgusting. And it's really just kind of disrespectful to people who find love and culture and tradition in these plates. And I think that a better name for the museum could be Palettes of the World, because it is a part of every country's palette, and just it's just a part of their own world. So yeah, thank you so much.